Greetings. I am Dr. Bernadette Best-Green, Associate Professor of Education and English. I'm also proud to be the Program Coordinator of the Faculty Equity Training Academy. The purpose of this video presentation is to introduce the Delta College community to a few of our Faculty Equity Training Academy's equity ambassadors who have successfully executed practitioner inquiry or teacher research that is designed to improve teaching and learning in their own classrooms. It is my hope that the information featured in this video presentation succeeds in piquing your interest in this wonderful faculty leadership opportunity at Delta College. And if you believe yourself to be a good fit for our program, we welcome your application to join our next Faculty Equity Training Academy Community of Practice cohort. Welcome to the video presentation of Improving Teaching and Learning in My Own Classroom through Practitioner Inquiry. This slide lists the 5 featured FETA Practitioner Inquiry projects that will be examined during this video presentation. Each of the professors appearing on this slide will be engaging their viewing audience in a research discussion about what motivated them to research, plan, execute, and evaluate their original teacher research studies. Their discussions will provide the viewing audience with the context for their research to include the student populations that they investigated. They will share brief reviews of relevant research that influenced their investigations. They will summarize key details about their methodology, including when the data were collected, the kind of data that were collected, and how the data were analyzed. They will detail their study's findings, and they will offer insight about their next steps as practitioner researchers. Each faculty member will also shed light on how engagement in the Faculty Equity Training Academy community of practice has impacted them as community college professors and as practitioner researchers. At the end of the video presentation, you will be provided with information on how to apply to the next Faculty Equity Training Academy Community of Practice cohort. Thank you for selecting this video presentation. We hope that you will enjoy learning about the wonderful work that we are engaged in. Thank you for your interest in the Faculty Equity Training Academy. In this first featured highlight of FETA Practitioner Inquiry Projects, Dr. Stephen Graham presents findings from his investigation of the effectiveness of time management coaching by analyzing the retention and course success outcomes of students enrolled in his public speaking courses. Dr. Graham's practitioner inquiry was guided by literature generated by Beatty and Baker, who found that poor time management and lack of study hours are associated with lower academic performance. Dr. Graham's research was further guided by Demirdak, who examined a significant correlation between students' communication skills, free time management, and motivation levels. Dr. Graham was motivated to conduct this research because he was curious to learn the potential for time management coaching to influence the retention and/or achievement of students enrolled in his online public speaking courses. Dr. Graham's research question asked, what influence does time management coaching have on retention and course success for community college students enrolled in my public speaking courses? In the video presentation to follow, Dr. Graham walks his viewer through his Faculty Equity Training Academy Practitioner Inquiry Project. Let's take a look.
Hello, everybody. My name's Steve Graham. I'm here to share with you my research project for the Faculty Equity Training Academy. The title of my research project is Investigating How Time Management Coaching Influences Retention and Course Success in Online Community College Public Speaking Courses. So here's a little background on the course. I'm looking at my Com Studies 1A, which is public speaking course, comparing it fall 2021 to fall 2022. It's the second 8-week course. So this is an 8-week fully online class. I do want the first 8 weeks and then the second 8 weeks. I'm comparing the second 8-week courses from both fall 21 and fall 22. This is at San Joaquin Delta College here in Stockton, California. Next, I'd like to share a little bit about the student demographics. So as you can see from both these pie charts, the student demographics, very diverse class. The majority of the class is going to be Hispanic students. The second to that would be our white student population, but it is quite large gap between the two. I mean, for fall 2022, we're looking at 62% Hispanic versus 16% white, 16% Asian. In the fall 2021, similar numbers, 49% Hispanic versus 12% white and 12% Asian. So very diverse classes. Also age-wise, the vast majority of the students, we're talking about, almost 90% of the students fall within the 18 to 34 range. The majority obviously is 18 to 21. So we're talking about, traditional college age kids. Gender, this is kind of interesting. In fall 21, there were more male students than there were female students in the class. And that flipped in fall 2022, more females than males. The goal of the research, the reason why I got into this research is because I was interested in seeing what the retention rate and course success rate, because we always talk about retention and course success in our courses. And the retention rate is very low online. A lot of students drop out before the drop date, before census date. The success rate seems to be pretty much the same when I'm looking at my face-to-face and my online classes. That rate tends to stay pretty close together. It's the drop rate that's significantly different when I'm looking at my personal face-to-face versus online. So I did a little poll in my online class, and I was kind of wondering, what are the barriers for you as an online student in college? And I was completely surprised to find out the number one, I've done this poll 3-4 semesters. The number one thing that's the barrier to success is time management skills. They just don't know how to manage their time and have enough time to apply to the class. So that kind of led to my research question. What influence does time management coaching have on retention and course success for community college students enrolled in online public speaking courses? Now, when we talk about time management, I'm looking at two aspects for this coaching. Number one is doing a section in my first module that kind of introduces them to the concepts of time management. Down here on the right-hand side, you can see what I'm talking about. This was the section I put into my class. So we had an introduction to time management. It kind of basically asked them to figure out what their priorities are, whether it be school, work, family relationships, gaming, whatever it is. Figure out those priorities and then schedule those priorities to make sure that those are coming first in your life. Then I also put in there some information from experts, what they say are the tips to better time management. Additionally, they have to make a schedule, and I asked them to put their priorities in their schedule to make sure they're scheduling time to meet their priorities so they can be successful. And the last thing is a little quiz going over all of everything that we talked about in this section on time management. I want to make sure, kind of double check that they've got it. The second aspect was the coaching via Canvas messages. So every Monday I would send out a message to them about tips, things that they can do, motivation to keep them going, to the schedule time, make sure they're getting in there and that they're spending their time wisely, getting started early, not waiting to the last minute, things of that nature. So that's kind of what we're looking at on this research. In the literature, essentially all the literature says that time management or procrastination are really important things that affect students in college. And this top research one, does inducing students to schedule lecture watching in online classes improve their academic performance? That was a big one that I was interested in, the research. And I wanted to see if it happens in the public speaking class. So those were really good articles. So my first round of data collection, the first thing I was looking at was before census. Census is, for an 8-week class, it's 1 week into the class. So at the 1 week mark, what does retention look like, and what does them completing their assignments? Are they involved in the class? Those are kind of two things I was looking at for the data one collection. You'll notice in spring 2021 that out of the 112 students that signed up for my 3 sections that are all combined together in one class, 112 students, 52 of those students dropped. 47% of the class dropped before the first week was over, right? So I had a 53% retention rate. And then we look over on spring 2022, out of the 75 students, there was only 2 sections, so I had less students. Out of the 75 students enrolled, 19 dropped. That's only 25% drop rate. I retained 57. So if we look at it, 2 sections almost had the exact same number of students continue on after the first week versus 3 sections. So I retained like almost a whole nother class if you think about it that way. If we look at missing assignments, they're essentially the same percentages. After the first week, only 15% of students were missing courses or missing assignments, any of the assignments that were due that first week on both semesters. So essentially the engagement's the same. It's just the number of students dropping that's the difference. So here's the key takeaway. That time management intervention that's done during the first week of the semester, it looks like it's retaining more students. Now, the next question is, if we're retaining more students, are they as successful? Because maybe we're retaining students that don't have really good time management skills, and they're going to end up dropping out later on anyways. So all this work is for nothing. Or are the course success rates the same? We're retaining them and they're just as successful as the other students. So I asked the students, how do you feel about this time management? And essentially, you can read this later on, but essentially the students are saying, yes, this is good. I'm learning stuff. I want you to keep doing this. Give me more tips on how to avoid procrastination, how to de-stress myself. So they're open to and they're engaging with the information. This was the coaching information I'm sending out, as well as them doing that first assignment in module number 1 on time management. So it's well received by the students. So this leads to round 2 data collection. This is kind of where the rubber meets the road for me. So if we look at a census, again, the big thing is that we're retaining more students. So census 21 versus census 22, we're retaining way more students, right? So higher retention rates. Now, at the end of the term, how are we looking at the end of the term as far as students missing assignments? Has anything changed? So we're retaining more students. Are these students performing just as well as the students from the other class that we didn't lose? Almost exactly the same. So the same amount of assignments are being missed at the end. Really, course success at the bottom, if you look, course success is almost essentially the same. And retention, again, 76% versus 53%. A huge, significant increase in students staying with the class. And when they stay with the class, they're just as successful as the students from the first semester, So it's not a problem getting students through the class if they just stick with it, if they don't drop. And it looks like we're having the effect of keeping students in there. So here's the findings. The big findings for my dependent variables. Retention-wise, 76% retention versus 53%. Let me say it one more time. A significant increase of retaining students. Students not dropping out on the class, not giving up. In terms of their success, all of those extra students we're keeping in there are just as successful as the students from other semesters when you account for them, us losing a lot of students. So the success rates are almost identical. It shows that there's better success rates, this semester, but I'm saying those are pretty equivalent. If we look at the research question that I asked at the beginning, what influence does time management coaching have on retention and course success for community college students enrolled in online public speaking courses? It's a lot, right? It's a big question. The answer, time management information, the activities that they've done, and the coaching that occurs every week, definitely there's a correlation with increased retention. So the things that I've done this semester in class, that time management section in the coaching, I'm going to continue to do those every single year in my online courses. There's no doubt about it. And I'm hoping to see the same amount of retention, the increased retention every semester. I'll be tracking this in the future and getting more data on it. In terms of kind of the reflection on what's next, my next step is, can I apply these same techniques to face-to-face classes? Can I increase retention in those classes? And the other thing is there a way I can get this information to my students before the semester even starts so that they're not dealing with time management issues at the same time trying to get through all those assignments the first week and all stressed out? Is there a way I can get this to them a week, 2 weeks in advance through my Delta? And maybe they can start thinking about this in advance. I don't know. I want to see if I can do that. This Faculty Equity Training Academy has been pretty amazing. One big thing, the process of this, it's got me thinking about asking my students for things that they need help with by doing a survey. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. I mean, again, time management is crazy. It was number one. So this entire process has opened my eyes to be a little more in tune with my students and ask them what their needs are instead of assuming that I know. The other thing, the participation in this entire academy, this cohort, I love the cohort idea, working together, is you can teach an old dog new tricks, because I'm proof of that. I thought I had it figured out. I mean, I put a lot of time and effort into my online classes, and this one intervention, just the time management intervention, has done wonders. So I'm wondering, are there other tricks that I can learn? Yes, there are. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
In this second featured highlight of FETA Practitioner Inquiry Projects, Professor Tanya Anderson examines outcomes associated with investigating ways that choice menus influenced student achievement within her community college office management course. Professor Anderson's practitioner inquiry was influenced by Lynn and Overbaugh, who examine ways that technology accommodates students' learning needs in multiple modalities, thus resulting in student achievement and learning satisfaction. Professor Anderson's research was further guided by Lee, who asserts that engagement motivates student learning through meaningful interaction and autonomy, but it must be supported by the instructor to be effective. Professor Anderson was motivated to conduct this research after discovering that students from her spring 2022 Business Information Management course reported feeling that their scores on traditional assessments did not accurately reflect their understanding of the content that was learned in the course. This prompted Professor Anderson's interest in conducting practitioner research that provided her students with greater autonomy over their mode of assessment. She became curious as to whether this could lead to improvement in student performance outcomes. Professor Anderson's research question asks, how does providing students with a choice menu for high-stakes assessments influence their performance in my community college office management course? In the video presentation to follow, Professor Anderson guides her viewer through her Faculty Equity Training Academy Practitioner Inquiry Project. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Tanya Anderson, and I will be investigating ways that choice menus influence achievement for community college office management students. My context summarization. So, in regards to my participant demographics, this course was titled BIM 39, which is Office Management course. It was an online course for 16 weeks, and there were 32 students enrolled. 63% of those students are pursuing degrees, 37% are pursuing certificates, 65% are Hispanic, 94% are female, and 17% are new students, first time at Delta College. I had a total of 4 females and 1 male as my experimental group. And so throughout this video, you will see data based on their performance. My research question was this: how does providing students with a choice menu for high stakes assignments influence their performance in my community college office management course? The independent variable was to provide students with a choice menu of options to choose which chapter topic he or she wanted to do and the choice format in which they wanted to submit their project. The choice menu options were designed to meet the student's learner style preference that I will explain further in this presentation. The dependent variable was measured upon the performance grade of a C or greater. My first source by Lynn and Overball, the effect of student choice of online discussion format and tiered achievement and on student satisfaction. So generally, adult learners differently and should be given as many choices as possible with regard to the availability and organization of learning opportunities. My second source by Lee and scholars, this research examines the construct of engagement and motivation to inform the design and facilitation of anatomy supportive online learning environments, which caused me to study student learner styles when providing the choice menus for this course. My third source, Billingsley and scholars, they identified various areas of student choices with performance standards, instructional support, and reward options. My fourth source, Mapinga and scholars, this study provided data that was collected from a variety of student communications and the Myers-Briggs type inventory. Suggestions to accommodate identified learning styles, needs, and expectations of students were presented. Online students were presented. Further study explored how the identified characteristics can be incorporated in designing effective online instruction. And then my last source, Rob Lyer and scholars, it focused on the characteristics of who participated in distance learning courses and how race impacted the students' access to technology equipment and tools. This helped establish my round 1 data collection questions that we will discuss on the next slide. Next is the round 1 data collection. In this research, I will show the participant demographics, the VARC learner assessment, and the international business project that had no choice menu options. First is the participant demographics. 65% of the students were Hispanics. 41% of students had been at Delta for a year or longer. 100% who participated in the survey were female, and there were a total of 17 students who participated in this data collection out of 32. 35% of students found the course projects to be a challenge for them when compared to course discussions, quizzes, and so forth. In this class, I had a total of 4 course projects. 88% preferred distance learning versus in-person and hybrid courses. 70% were satisfied that Delta College provides adequate resources to be successful in their learning, and 53%, which was 9 students, felt it was important to have a variety of ways to submit assignments in a course. Next are the VARC learner assessment results. 77% of the 17 participants took the VARC learner assessment, as I suggested, as an extra credit assignment prior to completing this survey. The rest of the students skipped it. Next, prior to taking this BIM 39 course, only 29% of the students knew what their learner style was. 59% did not know, and the remaining was not sure. And then lastly, 77% felt that the VARC learner assessment was very helpful in identifying their style and were in agreement with the outcome. Next is the International Business Project, the one that did not have any choice menus. 28% of the students did not submit this assignment at all. 6% who did received an F. 26% received a D, and then no one earned a C or B grade, and 40% of the students earned an A grade. This data that I received from round 1 data collection will allow me to compare project scores and grades from the International Business Project that contained no choice menu with the final course project that did contain choice menu options. I will also seek feedback as to how many students selected the choice menu option that was designed to their identified learner style. The Canvas end of course survey, I asked the students on an anonymous survey, what are your thoughts on the choice options? Did you find them to be beneficial by allowing you to choose how you wish to submit your work? And all of the students, all of them who did the survey was very positive. They gave a variety of feedback, and they loved the choice options because each assignment be suited for each depending on the student, the individual student. One student said that they found the choice options to be beneficial in getting us more than one way to submit their work. Some believe it was beneficial because it allows you to submit your work how you find the most helpful. So again, this particular choice option was student-centered. So it did meet the goal of providing the students options. What course options did you select to submit your final course project? So as you can see, there were 3 options. One was the written research report, one was a presentation video, and then the third was a PDF presentation video with voiceover. And so 57% chose option 1, 28% chose option 2, and then 14% chose option 3. I then asked them if they selected the choice option based on their learner style. And so 71% said that they did, and 28% select the specific option because they did not know how to do the video portion. And then doing a side-by-side comparison of International Business Project versus the final course project. I asked them if they found that the International Business Project was harder or easier, and 71% said it was harder. They prefer having a choice, and then 28% said they found it to be easier. Finding number 1, not all students chose the option based on their learner style. like I said, there were 3 choice menu options for the final course project. Option 1 was to do a research paper. Option 2 was to make a PowerPoint presentation video. And then option 3 was to make a PDF voiceover video presentation. So findings show that students were pressing for time and chose not to do the assignment at all, or to choose the option that they felt was the quickest and not connected to their learner style. My second finding, some students scored lower on the final course project as compared to the international business project. This could be that the international business project was done over a 3-week period, whereas the final course project was done only within 2 weeks. And it was towards the end of the semester. It started in week 14. And so again, students probably felt overwhelmed with their other courses. And then the third finding, besides having choice menus, what other factors impact a student's course performance? And so out of the 32 students enrolled in this course, 5 students fell off the course by week 10. They just were not logging in and being active at all in the course. This could have been due to other courses that they were enrolled in at Delta, personal problems, work-related, or even illness. A lot of illnesses were going on in this fall semester. Of course, these are factors that no instructor can control. So overall, I had 85% completion for this course with a C grade or better. So I was very pleased. So referring back to my question, how does providing students with a choice menu for high stakes assignments influence their performance in my community college office management course? And so data shows that students prefer having the option to choose. However, it is not enough. If time, lack of technology skills, and other contributors impact their participation, then having choice menus in a course won't be effective. My ultimate goal is to be effective with my course design, to make it more student-centered, but to carefully craft the assignment instructions that are going to be equitable to all of the students. It's the only way that I can increase the students' participation and for them to pursue course completion. If it is not designed in an effective manner, then students get frustrated and give up along the way. I would like to be able to implement changes to my upcoming spring course to start, and then other courses improve along the way. I first would like to make all data collection surveys a graded assignment for points and not an extra credit option. I found that a lot of students did not do this. Many who already had a high score didn't need the extra credit points. And so in order to get the entire class's feedback, I'm going to require that it's a graded assignment. Second, I would like to implement the final course project in a timely manner that doesn't interfere with the students' course load with other classes. So instead of offering the final course project in week 14, possibly start it in week 12, much sooner, so then they have more time. And then I can have them submit a draft along the way so I can make sure that they are actually starting it and not procrastinating. And then I would like to do further research in course design. This fall semester, I had a lot of faulty areas and I really need to tighten up on that. So I'm going to further research on course design and continue to offer course menus in all of my projects. The impact that Cohort 2 had for me, there were many ways that it impacted me. I consider this cohort 2 to be a pathway that addresses reducing the equity gap that Delta College has, and to provide the tools and guidance for instructors to do so. As we learned about the guiding principles in this, I call it the past year because we've been working on this for 2 semesters. Anyway, as we learned about the guiding principles, it provided us with an inside look of our desegregated students and how our call to action as faculty is necessary to reduce that gap that we have. I would like to thank the following people who made this possible. First is the FETA leadership team, Dr. Bernadette Best-Green, Dr. Julie Jose, and Dr. Amir Asadi-Rod. You guys were awesome. Special recognition to Dr. Stephen Graham, who helped me overcome my anxiety and all of the challenges that I faced in this cohort too. And then lastly, I would like to thank my accountability partners, David Terry, Kevin Cabrera, Stacy Begnosco, and Monica Fuentes Rodriguez. You guys were amazing. I love you, and I look forward to working with you again in the future. This was an awesome experience.
In this third featured highlight of FETA Practitioner Inquiry Projects, Dr. Stacy Robles Bagnasco presents findings of her examination of the effectiveness of a career exploration coaching protocol on students' undergraduate major and career decision-making. As a community college counselor and professor, Dr. Robles Bagnasco became interested in promoting student-centeredness in her courses to assist undeclared students who are often at risk of dropping out of college. She believes that persistence during one's pursuit of higher education is important because it helps disadvantaged students to escape poverty. The purpose of her study was to examine the effectiveness of career exploration coaching on community college students and their career and undergraduate major decision making. Dr. Robles Bagnasco researched relevant literature to guide her investigation. She has been influenced by scholarship from Sharms, who found that class level interventions were positively correlated with decreased effects of student career indecision variables. Dr. Bagnasco was further influenced by literature generated by Osborne, who noted the effect of career development guidance on the dysfunctional career thoughts of racially and ethnically diverse college freshmen. Dr. Robles Bagnasco's research question asks, how does coaching students through the process of creating career portfolios influence their career decisions? In the video presentation to follow, Dr. Robles Bagnasco guides her viewing audience through her Faculty Equity Training Academy Practitioner Inquiry Project. Let's listen in now.
Hello, my name is Dr. Stacy Robles Bagnasco, and I am a counselor professor at San Joaquin Delta College. I am going to be talking about my FETA project that was due for fall 2022, titled Investigating the Effects of Career Portfolios on Community College Students' Career Decision Making. I teach multiple counseling courses, and I chose to do my research on Counseling 30, Career Self-Assessment, and Counseling 31, Career Exploration. Both courses had similar students in them. Most of the students who took Counseling 30 signed up for the companion course, Counseling 31. I had 44 students enrolled in Counseling 30 and 42 enrolled in Counseling 31. Approximately 38% of the students were male, 62% of the students were female. There were about 6% Black students, 31% white students, and 36% Latino students, 27% Asian students, including Pacific Islander students. There were a few reentry students who are defined as over the age of 25 years old. There were several middle college high school students who are 13 to 15 years old and take the course for an elective units towards their AA degree, because when they graduate from high school, they also have an associate's degree. The majority of the students were 18 to 25 years old. Most of the students seem to be first-generation college students, as they discussed this in their assignments. A few of the students were from foreign countries, such as the Middle East, and have only been in the US for a few years, learning English and the American school system. My long-term goal for my students was that they would complete a career goal in a major and then graduate from Delta College with a certificate, associate's degree, or transfer to a university. Students in the control and experimental groups both completed career assessments, such as the Myers-Briggs, Strong Interest Inventory, or True Colors. In addition, the experimental group completes a career portfolio, which requires students to research 2 careers that came up on their career assessments by using Eureka and other career resources. ONET Online is another resource that they used. Based on my observation as the professor, the career portfolio may impact the outcome of students' career decision-making. My research question was, how do career portfolios, the independent variable, influence community college students' career decision, which was the dependent variable? Some of the literature sources that I utilized for my research was Career Advising and Academic Advisor's Guide, where the author describes a process that can help students identify and explore academic and career possibilities, then make critical decisions. There's a process that she discusses that includes inquiring, informing, and integrating. Her work discusses the inquiring stage, in which counselors advise students to use career assessments such as Myers-Briggs, Strong Interest Inventory, and True Colors. The examples and most of the case studies are based on 4-year colleges, not 2-year community colleges. So that has to be taken into consideration as we serve many disadvantaged college students. Her second book, titled The Undecided College Student, an Academic and Career Advising Challenge, also was a research literature that I used that informed my study. The new revised book uses best practices for assisting students in understanding the undecided college student. It focuses on how advisors can help the undecided student. Theoretical frameworks are discussed that may help advisors understand undecided students more comprehensively. The author shows how career development affects academic advising, and there's practical information that can be used in counseling, as well as the career classes. And her new updated edition discusses technology and how it can assist advisors with helping undecided students. The next article was a peer-reviewed journal article, The Effect of a Career Development Course on Dysfunctional Career Thoughts of Racially and Ethnically Diverse College Freshmen, from the Career Development Quarterly. And this study examined how a 1-unit career course, which, like mine, reduced dysfunctional career thinking. Students took a pre and post-test career thoughts inventory survey, and the study showed that the course was statistically significant in decreasing dysfunctional career thinking related to decision confusion, commitment anxiety, and external conflict for freshmen. This study has implications for student affair professionals that work with undecided students, as it shows how a career course can be a cost-effective, efficient tool for reducing career indecision among undecided freshman students, which we have many at Delta. Finally, the effect of a class-level intervention on career indecision variables. This was a peer-reviewed journal article, and the study examined a class-level intervention that would have a significant effect on improving career indecision variables. And this study was done at a 4-year urban research university in the Midwest, and this course was 16 weeks long. Data. I designed and administered the same surveys for students in both courses. The surveys were designed to assess where students were in the career decision-making process in regards to their majors and career goals. I put the survey questions in a quiz in my Canvas course during week 5 to assess their career decision-making. When asked about their career goals, 17% of the students were still undecided at the end of this 5-week course. These data informed my plans for round 2 data, because I plan to ask the same survey questions and determine if doing the career portfolios in Counseling 31 had an effect on their career decision-making process. I designed and administered the same surveys for students in both courses. The surveys were designed to assess where students were in the career decision-making process in regards to their majors and career goals. I put the survey questions in a quiz in my Canvas class during week number 11 to assess if their career decision was or was not affected by the career portfolios. After each data collection, I compared the students' responses of both groups to determine if there were differences between students making career decisions who completed a career portfolio and those who did not. When asked about their career goals, none of the students were undecided at the end of this course. 73% of the students were first semester students who took these courses. 45% of the students took the class because they were undecided. 33% of the students were referred by a counselor or teacher. 12% took the class to learn about themselves. 10% thought it was a requirement. 95% of the students believed that the course aided in their academic and/or career decision-making process, which is amazing because that is the whole point of these career courses, is to help them figure out a major and make some decisions. Although at the end of the class, many of the students were still undecided about a career choice, they learned many new things about themselves and the importance of how personality attributes, values, skills, and accomplishments influence their career choices. 78% of the students mentioned that learning about the career decision-making process did influence their commitment to college or finishing college, graduating from college. 22% of the students wrote that learning about the career decision-making process did not influence them to complete college because they already were committed to completing college. I wondered, as I did this research, if the students who said that it didn't influence them to complete college was because their parents went to college. So they already knew they were going to go on and get a four-year college degree. I'm wondering if the students who feel like the course did influence their commitment to college, if they were first-generation college students. This project made me more confident that the activities, discussions, and career portfolio are useful and helpful to undecided students. The independent variable career portfolios seem to be one factor that was effective in helping with career decision-making. Career portfolios do influence community college students' career decisions, as well as the various other assignments in the career courses that help students learn about their values, skills, personality, and lifestyle preferences. In general, the findings confirm that when students take the various career assessments and complete the discussions, as well as assignments, it helps most of them find a major and career goal. The findings have influenced my lesson design by realizing that I want to include more videos of various professors on campus and people in the community talking about their career journey and how they made a decision about a career. I have a collection of videos already, and I have the students view two of several videos, and then they get to pick which ones they want. And so they have the flexibility of the assignment, and then they have to write, answer some questions. And I've got a lot of feedback in the surveys that that was something that they really enjoyed in the class. My first step is that I want to share my data from my project with my Dean and VP of Student Services so that they can see the value and importance of the career classes for undecided students. I enjoyed the planning, execution, and analysis of my FETA classroom inquiry project, because those of us who teach the career classes are always curious to know if students find them useful and helpful for them to achieve their goals. The cohort has impacted me as an equity-minded professor and practitioner researcher because I learned more about conducting research, which will help me to be a more informed, engaged, and educated professor. The guiding principles that we learned in FETA assisted me with remembering to be flexible and student-centered in my courses. Thank you.
In this fourth featured highlight of FETA Practitioner Inquiry Projects, Professor Mariela Guzman guides her viewing audience through her teacher research, which investigated the influence that accountability partners had on students' speech performance and overall achievement in her public speaking courses. Through her study, Professor Guzman sought to explore variables that have potential to assist students showing up to speech day well prepared, having well thought out and well-researched speeches, all while exuding confidence. As a public speaking professor, she believes that the stakes are high to uncover such variables, given that students' public speech presentations are on display several times throughout the semester. Professor Guzman's inquiry was guided by scholarship by Fallon, who found guided use of peer revision to be positively associated with improved student performance, as evidenced by students' ability to clearly discuss their analysis and increase their critical thinking skills. Professor Guzman's research question asked the following: how does accountability partners influence students' speech research, writing, and presentation skills? In this video presentation to follow, Professor Guzman guides her viewing audience through her Faculty Equity Training Academy Practitioner Inquiry Project. Let's listen now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching my presentation for my research. My research was entitled Investigating the Impacts of Accountability Partners in Student Success in a Community College Public Speaking course. My study took place in a Communication Studies 1A course entitled Public Speaking. This was in a dual enrollment course at Stockton Early College Academy, which is SECA. It's centrally located in downtown Stockton. And the demographics of my participants were as follows. It was a really small niche age group because they are all in high school. Ages are between 15 to 17 years old. I had 30% of my students being 17 and 15, and then 16 were 40%. The majority race that was identified was Hispanic Latino, and the second was Asian. And for my gender, we had 70% female and 30% male. So one problem that I consistently have seen increase is underprepared students and students who are underprepared, meaning that they show up to speech day with unprepared speeches, maybe not as much cited material as we've requested, low or inappropriate like oral citations, they're not in format, or they, when delivering, have a monotone delivery and low eye contact because instead of presenting, they're reading. So that cuts down their eye contact, but also the variety of their vocal tone that they can use. My long-term goal is to increase the quality of speech writing, research, and delivery in a community college course, and to also keep or lower and keep communication apprehension, which is actually seen more higher on the first speech assignment. My independent variables were myself as the instructor, and then in round 2, my accountability partners. The dependent variable and what I hoped to have a significant improvement on is student performance and final speech grades. My research question is, how does using accountability partners influence student speech, research, writing, and presentation skills? All of these. For Fallon, this piece has definitely made me think about how to use guided peer revision in order to not just get students to discuss their analysis, but also increase their critical thinking skills, which is a skill that in his research and in my experience prior is very lacking. Clark, this piece made me realize that I will need to ask students to clearly state their shortcomings, whether that be the nervousness that they feel for public speaking, like communication apprehension, any personal concerns like disabilities, even like for them to discuss their personal background a little bit, like what they're dealing with at home in terms of workload, school load, and dependent care. Because what was found with Clark is that the more that students advocate for themselves and have a voice for what they're struggling with, the more likely that they are to see the enhancement in their performance and be proud of themselves. So advocacy is key there to see significance. For SHEAM, this was actually a very interesting study. It was conducted in a high school setting, which I thought was really appropriate for my particular study. And this talked about how their results were that classmate support really did not have a clear indication on the feeling and the attitude that they have for a school, not necessarily performance, but just the support of the school. Schadinger, this helped me see that I will need to conduct a public speaking apprehension test before and after presentations, because what was key in their study was that positive talk can really impact the performance of a speaker. And the other key finding of this research was that you could do positive talk as a group and it can impact a student's performance. So not necessarily the speaker giving themselves talk, but just kind of rallying and pumping up everybody before speech presentations will have the same impact. So that was really good to find and understand. Brian, this author pointed out that basic communication skills were missing from students. They didn't have proper listening skills, clearly explaining thoughts, compromising, or dealing with conflict. However, when they started to work together, they did have a lot more open dialogue and constructive criticism to each other. And the things that were highlighted in Brian's work that I believe is very crucial and apparent across any discourse is how absenteeism and personalities really do affect the group work. So if you had one-on-one and one student's absent that day, obviously you have a student who's alone and can't complete their group work or can't get that feedback. But then also if you have a person who has really strong personality, that might affect how they give criticism and how the more sensitive student will receive it. So the round one of my data was collected and it was based around the first speech assignment, which is known as a speech to introduce. During this round of data collection, students did not have an accountability partner. They only had myself. And I was available through office hours, email, and 2 specific in-class workshop days. Each workshop day, they had an agenda to complete. The first day, they completed the communication apprehension questionnaire. And then they also completed this worksheet that had information that they needed to answer for personal demographics. That gave me information for this assignment. And they talked about who they knew in the classroom. So I asked them if they had a friend or somebody that they felt comfortable with getting information about the course in the classroom. They also completed a workshop log, and that basically was asking them to give me information, to jot down when they asked me a question, when I gave them information, and how confident did it make them feel. So a lot of times they'll ask a question, but it doesn't necessarily boost their confidence or understanding, but students won't ask again. So I wanted to have them jot that down so that I understood that they asked me a question and they know what the answer was, and it gave them confidence to move on. The culmination of round one was on speech days when I graded their speech up against a rubric. And these are the final rubric speech grades and the breakdown. The lowest score was 95 out of 200. The highest score was 200 out of 200. And the median score for this assignment was 177.2, which is a B+. Round one provided insight on students' communication apprehension. Students scored low on the scale of apprehension, meaning they had some apprehension, but not degree of experiencing severe anxiety. Upon reviewing the workshop day 1 and day 2 worksheet, I was alerted about the importance and desire for students to complete their homework during class. This provided immediate support and clarification for me and lessens their after school workload. I started to realize at this point that perhaps it really wasn't me or the accountability partner. It was just time allotted to work on the assignment that was going to make a difference. For round 2 of data, we did basically the same thing, but this was around speech to inform. The students did at this time have an accountability partner, and I took a step back as the instructor. I gave the accountability partner general instructions. I gave everyone a worksheet, and this worksheet also contained their journal to log how their partner answered questions and supported them. And if that increased their confidence and boosted like their morale around the assignment. After each student presented, we looked at the grades. The individual grades did go up. The lowest score was now 140 and the highest was 200 out of 200. The median score, however, was just slightly less at 176.4, which is still a B+. Round 2 provided insight on students' performance after seeking support from an accountability partner only. The average student score for the speech assignment was lower than the previous speech assignment. Upon reviewing the workshop day for 1 and 2 of the journal log, I became informed that although students received assistance and guidance from their accountability partner, they didn't feel completely satisfied or confident with the answers and support they received. Many used or wished to have made use of instructional support to feel more confident and have confirmation of their work meeting the requirements of the assignment. So even though the students asked their peer, their accountability partner, and they got feedback, students still wanted me to go around and to confirm the feedback and the constructive criticism that they received from their accountability partner. It seems that at the end of the day, they still want that confirmation from the instructor, because ultimately that's the person who's going to grade their assignment and is going to have the most significance and influence on their grade. So my findings were the following. Although accountability partners assisted in increasing the quality of speech delivery, overall the speech grades indicated that relying on solely an accountability partner with minimal instructional support resulted in similar influence on a student's speech. Moreover, there was no predictable result across students. One student in particular earned 200 on the first speech and then 140 on the second. So that was a huge drop for them. While another scored the lowest in the first speech, being a 95, but then with an accountability partner was 167. And for this student, I remember her specifically. For this student, she did not cite her sources, which accounted for about, 40 points. So by her simply just having those sources and orally citing them correctly, that boosted her grade. So that was a huge thing that she could have asked and I could have corrected, and an accountability partner checked and corrected. It was very subjective. It wasn't an objective thing for them to look at or analyze. So these are the speech grades. In blue is the first speech and in red is the second speech. And as you can see, they're pretty similar, except for that first student number 2, who scored really low on the first one. That was the 95 that I cited above. The improvement was really, it was flat across the board. Although grades were different for different people, at the end of the day, the improvement kind of stayed pretty steady with accountability partner versus instructional support. What I have learned about my long-term goal is that accountability partners did assist in lowering their peers' communication apprehension. By practicing the speech during workshop days, it allowed students to practice to build muscle memory and help achieve a more fluid, coherent, less hesitant, and clear speech. However, the quality of writing and formatting speeches did not see an increase in those particular areas of the grade. Accountability partners did not positively influence the quality of their peer speech research, writing, and presentation skills. Furthermore, across the student scores, there was an equal amount of improvement and lack of improvement between both speech scores. I will continue to encourage accountability partners, especially for delivery practice drills, as I did see a slight increase in delivery performance that comes with practice and receiving feedback. I plan on providing journal logs like the one that I created for this research for students to complete for extra credit as an incentive. It will be interesting to see if changing accountability partners between each assignment would have any impact on the quality of the speech development and delivery. One of the things that was mentioned in previous research was the idea of a guided accountability partner, where accountability partners have a ton of rules and steps that they must follow, and that comes from the instructor so that their feedback is really constructive. And that's something that I've always known in education is that, when you have a student peer critiquing another student, you have to give them a lot of steps and a lot of rules to follow, or else some students will become mute, and some students will give way too much personal constructive feedback and criticism. So that journal log that I'm talking about would really help them in guide and understand and what to look for subjectively rather than objectively in their peer. My reflection: I would like to learn how I can instruct accountability partners to provide feedback and support to peers. I feel that this research allowed me to debunk the myth of time and support. For many years, I have wished to have enough time to offer workshop days for students. I thought this would increase the students' quality of writing and delivery, but this research indicated that what students appreciate more is confirmation and clarification from the instructor. This increases their confidence and lowers their communication apprehension. Cohort 2 of FETA has helped me identify weak areas within my own curriculum design and classroom management. By focusing on these areas and adjusting to the needs of our diverse student body, I am eliminating the need to address future concerns or issues before they arise. That is all. Thank you so much.
In this fifth and final featured highlight of FETA Practitioner Inquiry Projects, Professor Valerie Nyasanu discusses how her Practitioner Inquiry Project allowed her to understand ways that students enrolled in her dance theory course were influenced by her multi-pronged approach toward teacher-initiated, student-centered coaching, which combined weekly written announcements, a weekly email message, mandatory office hours appointments, and Zoom-based optional class meetings. Professor Nyasanu notes that while many classes are back in person, she still teaches some courses online in this post-COVID era. In recent years, she has witnessed a decline in student engagement and achievement in her dance theory courses, motivating her interest in this research. A review of relevant literature pertaining to frequent and varied instructor feedback introduced Professor Nyasanu to scholarship by Selvaraj, Cisniewski, and Ming, who suggests that it is positively associated with improvements in student engagement and achievement, particularly in online courses. Professor Nyasanu's research question asks, how does providing students with frequent and varied instructor feedback influence student engagement and achievement in my dance culture courses? In her final video presentation, Professor Nyasanu guides her viewing audience through her Faculty Equity Training Academy Practitioner Inquiry Project. Let's listen now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie Nyasanu. I'm professor of dance and French, and I will be presenting my research study. How does providing students and frequent weekly and varied instructor feedback influence student engagement and achievement in my dance cultures course? So regarding the context of my research, so I did my research on a late start class, which is the dance cultures. And this course actually examined the evolution of diverse global dance forms and American folk dances using theoretical tools to understand dance. The demographic of my class. So the results were on the race and ethnicity, showing a diverse body of students. So I have, for example, 35% Hispanic of Latino in my class, 22% being Asian or Pacific Islander. I have 13% Black African American, 17% for white, 13% for multiracial. And actually among all the respondents, 91% were women. As far as the age groups, I have 35% represents the 20 to 24 age group, 26% in the 25 to 29 age group, 17% are in the 19 or less range, and 22% represent the 39 year old range and above. 56% of the students are the first person to attend college in their family, and 48% of the students' first language is actually not English. 20% of the students experience some kind of disability, whether it's physical or mental, that actually affect their academic work. So I believe it is important, as an instructor, to always try to better myself for the benefit of the students, and therefore I think it's important to be student-centered. So how and in what ways can I best support my students to improve or increase their engagement and achievement? So I looked at one tool. I looked at feedback. And I wanted to identify the best feedback practices that would efficiently serve my students. And I was looking at defining correlation between feedback, which is an independent variable, and student engagement, which is the first dependent variable, and academic achievement, which is my second dependent variable. So therefore, my research question is, how does providing students with frequent, which is weekly, and varied instructive feedback, such as written, in-person, or virtual, influence student engagement and achievement in my dance culture course? So I had quite a few resources, and I decided to focus on only 3. So the very first one was the Teacher's Feedback Practice and Student Academic Achievement, a systematic literature review by Anne Malar Servaraj. So she basically evaluated the correlation between students' academic success and faculty feedback. And in addition, she brings up the idea that written comments could have a negative effect on students. My second resource was The Power of Teacher Feedback in Affecting Student Learning and Achievement, Insight from Students' Perspective by Len Yang. She felt like effectiveness of feedback should be based on the student's feedback belief. And the last source is The Power of Feedback Revisited, a meta-analysis of educational feedback research review by Benedict Wisniewski. The effects of feedback may vary according to the form used and its goal. And so he identified 3 different types of feedback that he named feed-up, feedback, and feed-forward. So the first round of data has 2 different parts. The very first one focused on the students' profile engagement, as well as their background, gender, ethnicity, age, financial, and social status. The second part of data collection focused more on the intervention tools to evaluate student engagement in an online environment. And also the result was to be compared with students' achievement. So the average profile student in the class is a female, 20 years old or higher, with a diverse ethnicity, from a diverse ethnicity. And the student is likely first to attend college and to receive financial aid. I focused on I focused on 3 students. The very first 2 are female. One is Black and the other one is Asian. And consecutively, one is 20 years old or above, is about 20 years old, while the other is in the 25 years old range. The third focal student is a Black male, and 34 years old and up. Important details found is that 63% of the class believe that the announcement that I sent weekly the announcements were actually useful to them. And 56% appreciated the quotes that I sent also on a weekly basis on Wednesdays. However, 80% never attended any of the meetings that I set, and 3% did not respond to the survey. My 3 focal students, qualitative responses. So the first Black female students appreciated all the announcements and emails that I sent, and she used it as a motivation and a time management tool. The second student, who's Asian female, read also all the announcement. She completed all the work, but for some reason she didn't see the value in the emails that I sent, which were quotes, encouraging quotes. And the last student, who is a Black male student, did not read any of the information, but still completed all the assignments. So for the second round of data, I decided to design questions that would provide more complete answers. I was hoping to get more robust responses from my students to provide a stronger analysis. And I also wanted to confirm the first set of responses and evaluate the impact on their academics, on my students' academics. So my round 2 of data, the data showed that 77% of the class read the Monday morning announcements. 86% felt it was valuable, and actually it acted as a reminder for them. So 75% also felt that it influenced them positively, and it kept them motivated throughout the class. Only 13% of my students attended one of my Zoom check-in sessions, and nobody actually attended the mandatory ones that I set up. The responses of my focal students to those questions dealing with Monday morning announcement or emails, quotes that I sent on the Wednesday, on Wednesdays. So my very first students actually didn't respond to the first questions. However, she did complete all work, and she received A by the end of that second survey. Student number 2, she actually again read all the announcement again, and she also received an A. And again, the second student at first didn't see the value of the feedback, but now she started feeling that she could appreciate them. And number 3, my third student, who's the male student, the Black male student, revealed that he did not read any of the announcements, and actually he's mentioned that his Monday morning routines consisted of diving into his computer at work. So by this time, this particular student, only one of his assignments was missing, and 2 of his assignments barely received a passing grade. So I decided to add a third round of data collection and develop a grading scale to actually evaluate students' feedbacks preferences. So the round 3 of data. So 25 students actually passed the class with a C or above. 8% received a grade below 70. And actually, this survey found that students who responded to reading announcements and emails completed all assignments and had a passing grade, while those who did not read any did not complete all assignments, and grade was affected. So among them, of course, was my focal student number 3, who's actually a working adult and actually, unfortunately, failed the class. A grading scale was developed to evaluate, again, like I mentioned earlier, on the students' feedback preferences. And the results were 40% of students responding in person meetings favorably, 30% 36% in weekly reminder. That was the second choice. The third choice was in emails with 12%. The fourth choice was in written feedbacks. And the last one was automated feedbacks. So students do favor, in this order, the one-on-one meetings, the weekly reminders, the written feedback, and the automated feedback. So basically, students do see that feedbacks are as being informative and a time management tool. In addition, feedback, I believe that they felt like feedback enhances their sense of belonging in the class. And so it gave them like a sentiment of being connected and being part of the class. So the data shows that frequent and varied feedback does influence student engagement and achievement. So with 51% dependent relationship between grade and those who replied to the questionnaire. However, some students did not complete surveys properly. So the intensity of these variables was not as strong as anticipated. So some of the survey also showed that students who did not pass the class have the highest frequency of late assignments and did not read the feedbacks. So to be effective, feedbacks must be delivered in a variety of formats and on a continuous basis. One finding that jumped out was the likeliness of failure for working adults. How do we accommodate this population? How do we create modules that meet their needs? So I think that to be effective, feedback must be delivered in a variety of formats and on a continuous basis, but above all must be read, and all must be read by the students. The students definitely has to do his part, his or her part. Additionally, working adults seems to have a harder time with feedbacks and deadline, so we need to be more flexible with assignment deadline to meet their needs. Which I have started implementing in my spring 2023 class. Regularly conducting surveys provide us with insights into students' mind, and I believe that it helps us stay connected to our students and serve them better. So for my reflection, I will definitely continue to provide different types of feedback on a frequent basis to engage students and support their academic success. My second point is the outgrowth. So it's actually an unexpected outgrowth. There's a need to develop programs and curriculum for working adults. I think that balancing work, life, and school is a real challenge, and Delta should definitely design programs that are more accessible and manageable for working students. And I want to say that I'm very appreciative for FETA for providing more insight on equity and teaching me how to research students in order to better serve them and do my job better. So thank you, Dr. Bernadette Des-Green.
If the information you've been gaining thus far resonates with you, we invite you to ponder whether the following next steps are right for you. 1. Consider whether this opportunity is a good fit for you at this time by viewing this FETA Community of Practice outreach video entitled Deepen Your Praxis as an Equity-Minded Professor with the Faculty Equity Training Academy in its entirety. Next, confirm that your Delta College teaching load meets program eligibility. To be eligible, FETA Community of Practice member applicants must confirm official teaching assignments of one or more classes during both semesters in order to complete Phase 1 and Phase 2 assignments. Then, complete the FETA application, which is a Google form, by scanning the QR code featured on the following slide. Then, check your email for application status. Once your application has been successfully submitted, be sure to check your email frequently to learn any important updates pertaining to the status of your application. Next, Notify your dean upon acceptance into this leadership activity. It is important that your dean and evaluation committee, if applicable, are aware of your FETA community of practice commitment and the progress toward earning status as one of Delta College's equity ambassadors. Then, contact us with your questions or concerns by sending email to best-green@deltacollege.edu, and it will reach me, FETA Coordinator Dr. Bernadette Best Green. Finally, join our Faculty Equity Training Academy community of practice. Be sure to log in to our Canvas shell to introduce yourself to others within our FETA community of practice as soon as you receive notification that you've been accepted into this leadership program. We can't wait to begin this journey with you. Scan the QR code to apply to join the FETA Community of Practice cohort today. Use your smartphone's camera to scan the QR code featured on the right, then touch the gold link that appears to access the FETA Community of Practice application online. Please send an email containing your questions or concerns to the Faculty Equity Training Academy Coordinator, Dr. Bernadette Best Green, at the email displayed on your screen. We look forward to hearing from you soon.